My man.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on?
Well, I'll tell you what's going on. You are on.
Here, I'm gonna put my other earpiece in.
There he is.
There we
Welcome to
go.
the show,
Hey,
my man.
hey,
Welcome.
what's going on?
Thank you for being here. For all our listeners in the studio today, all the way from Chicago, Illinois, is my brother from another mother, Mike called Big Mike. Big Mike.
Hey, welcome in.
Okay, here's
Thanks,
one of the most endearing things.
thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. Now, here's one of the most endearing things about you. Well, there's a lot of endearing things about you, but I see your hats in the background.
Yeah.
When I first met this guy,
Oh, yeah.
it's a great story how we met.
There you go.
But I remember he's like, yo, man, we got to go to the mall for a hat. I'm like, what? He's like, everywhere I go, everywhere I travel, I get a hat, like a baseball cap or a flat brim trucker hat. I'm like, you wear them. You collect hats. He's like, no, I don't wear them. I put them on my wall. Not to be worn.
Yeah, I seriously don't wear them at all.
Look at these. Look at this.
Actually, there goes. Let's see. Where's Utah? Utah's actually right here.
Got a Utah hat.
Did you?
Okay,
There goes the Moab hat. There goes the Moab hat.
And when we were in Connecticut, he got this really
There
cool
goes Connecticut right next to it.
It was like New England Patriots hat. It was like, no. It was the Mets. Come on out.
Well, we got the Mets. We got the Mets. We got Mexico. We got DC on there. Got Puerto Rico. We got Las Vegas.
Oh man.
And then we go all the way back.
Yeah, name them all.
Yeah, man. We got tons of Chicago hats. We got a Bulls hat here. We got Atlanta. Back when I was at Atlanta, I got this one in Manhattan. When I went to New York City, I was in. Actually, that's a Brooklyn Nets hat, but I got that in Manhattan. I got a couple more Bulls hats just because we were in Chicago. I got the San Francisco. Got the California hat. Got that in San Francisco when I was out there.
Oh man.
I got my South Beach, Miami hat back when I was down in Florida. But yeah, man, it's just on down the list. Looking to complete the collection eventually.
Well, it'll theoretically never be complete because that's like life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's just a constant work in progress, is what it is.
Okay, so I'm going to set the stage. So Mike here, he's an awesome guy. He's a Chicago native. He's a personal trainer. He's a very talented photographer. He's traveled the world, but we met. Let's start with how we met. I know how we met. I told the story. Why don't we hear it from you?
Let's hear the real version.
Set the stage.
So the real version. So what ended up happening? So first of all, we both. Well, for those of you guys who aren't familiar with Jeff Cavalier, he's a PT strength conditioning coach, really famous on YouTube. He has this channel called Athlete X. And what happened is that in 2019, so about 2 years ago now, about a year and a half ago, I would say, 2019, there was what's called the Athlete X Games Live. They had them, and they were out in Connecticut. That's actually where I got the Connecticut hat. But they were out in Connecticut, so I ended up flying into New York City and just taking the train down to Connecticut to just to kind of go to the Athlete X Games. And CT Fletcher was there. For those of you guys who aren't familiar with CT Fletcher.
CT, I love CT.
Man, CT is just like intense on his own. So CT Fletcher, really famous bodybuilder. He's had like multiple bypass surgeries for his heart. He's like still kicking, still real intense, just really dedicated to it. But we ended up just bumping into each other. We both were late. So like we walked in at the very last second. Like I think there was like 2 or 3 key tag. They basically give everybody a name tag when you walk in. It was like a name tag when you walked in. Like we were like the last 2 people that walked in. I just randomly bumped into Jeff Cavalier. He was just like out there, just standing in the middle of the hallway. I ended up bumping into him, and then I was like, "Oh man, Jeff, great to meet you. A big fan of your work, love all this stuff." And then right behind me, Jason just walks in same time. He's like, "Oh man," it's like. We were just lost. Like we just walked into it was almost like a big auditorium. They had tons of chairs and stuff. It was a bunch of lectures that we went through. But they ended up calling like lunchtime or break time, like soon as we got there. And then they were like, yeah, see you guys in like 10, 15 minutes. And we ended up walking out to this like little just random smoothie place. Like neither one of us is from New York City area or Connecticut. So like we just walked like we just ran a random direction and just like found like this random smoothie place. Ended up getting some snacks and stuff like that. Came back, and yeah, man, it really just hit it off that weekend. It was
The
intense.
rest,
It was a really, really cool weekend, by the way. Just like tons of stuff going on that
the
weekend.
rest is history. I remember we were nervous, so we go to the smoothie shop. So you were cool as hell. We had this instant camaraderie. I'm like, this guy's no. We had time. We were late, but we weren't. Like the main event had yet to start. We had time to go grab a smoothie at a protein bar.
Yeah, exactly. They were real chill on time. They were
Real chill.
on, like,
We're there, like we got some like acai berry blend smoothies.
Yes.
We were scared of CT Fletcher. CT Fletcher was the keynote speaker. He's this big, like scary looking black dude from Compton. Like,
man, he's super intense, just super intense. He's still pretty big now, and he's like in his late 50s, 60s. He's like much older guy. He's still like huge now, but like way back when he was just like enormous, enormous.
How tall is he?
Oh, probably like 6'3" or 6'4", like our height.
Yeah, he's a little bit taller. I'm like 6 feet, so like he's a little bit taller than me.
Imposing guy, and he's got this deep voice, and he's really iconic for his no bullshit sayings, like "It's your set, motherfucker."
Exactly, it's still your motherfucking set. That's what he always says. That's his catchphrase.
And we're watching, as we're eating these smoothies, we're watching all these YouTube videos, and his catchphrases. Another catchphrase is, "You cotton candy eating motherfucker, get your ass out." like all the stuff. So we're scared. We're like, "Oh shit,
it's me. I'm the cotton candy."
What if he just walks in? What if he just walks? What if we walk in with the smoothies? He just like slaps them out. We just bump into CT Fletcher just randomly. Man, it was good, man. It was a great weekend. Dude, that was like the hottest weekend of all time in New York.
I remember it was
like a record-breaking heat wave.
Oh God, it was awful. We were cracking up because we're like, we better get going because we're going to be late, and we're going to walk in while CT Fletcher is mid-speech, and he'll look up, and there we'll be with our like pink acai berry smoothies. That makes sense, you cotton candy, motherfucker. Like we were just cracking up. But
so, quick question, like, so we were talking about this on another episode about, and we called it the hack.
Yes.
Right? So, would you say...
Call it the what?
The hack clock.
My own clock, the hack clock.
Yeah. So, Jason's obviously got a 10-minute buffer, right, for when he arrives somewhere. So, would you say more of an early, get there early is on time, or right on time, or a little later?
Matt, it's like the notification. You get that like 10-minute notification on your phone, just like that the event's going to be happening. It's just the notification time. That's what it is.
Okay.
It's setting up for that hack clock notification time.
Nice.
No, I remember it was weird. I was staying at an Airbnb, and it was very New Englandy, and I was in the most fancy neighborhood of Stamford, Connecticut, and it was called like Hubbard Heights, and it was all these restored Victorian homes with painted verandas and rose gardens, and it was a good like 2-mile walk to the venue, and I somehow didn't understand the schedule, and when I really double checked, I'm like, oh shit, I'm late, and I ran this 2 miles, like make Jeff Cavalier proud sort of thing, and yeah, we just happened to converge at the same time. But it was so cool because
literally at the same exact time, just like walked in.
It was.
I had started my morning in Chicago that day. I just like literally just landed in Stamford, Connecticut. I flew out that morning. Ended up landing in New York City. Ended up taking a bunch of trains. Took a train from Brooklyn to Stamford, Connecticut. Walked a couple blocks and just like landed at the same exact time.
That was an intense weekend. So not only did we arrive at the same time, but we were in the same category of competition. So it was the Athlean X Games.
Oh yeah, we were.
It was timed. I mean, it was burly. Everything was burly. It was timed. Certain legs of sprints and burpees and push-ups.
It was intense. Push-ups. And then the end was intense, man. There was like sled pushes. Keep in mind, it was like record-breaking heat in New York City. Like it must have been at least like 100 degrees.
And
dude, the humidity was just like ridiculous.
Oh, especially
just ridiculous.
In Connecticut,
it was so hard.
Humidity.
Everybody was just like cramping up. They had like all types of just like electrolyte drinks and all that stuff out there. Yeah. Man, it was great though. It was intense.
And we were in a parking garage at the Athlean X team. Set it up in like a defunct abandoned parking garage. So we're open air in this concrete bunker in the muggy Connecticut heat.
Exactly.
Competing, we're shirtless, we're sweating, we're covered in grit and grime. I loved it. It was great. And
man, I remember they put the sled out there. They put the iron sleds right on the concrete, and it was just like pushing the sled right on the concrete.
And it's scarring to concrete. It was real hardcore, like old school iron type. And I remember at the end, you and I went back to New York together. I'm like, hey, listen, my sis, she lives in New York.
Oh yeah.
Let's go together. So we bought your hat, in honor.
Yeah, we got the hat.
Jeff Cavaliere got his start for the New York Mets.
Yep.
As their personal trainer and physical therapist. And so he got to come on out and meet the Mets hat. And, we have lunch and everything. We hit the train down to New York, and we're going to go.
Went to Harlem.
And we went to Harlem, man. Tell us about that. Remember that? That was insane. And you're
from Harlem's crazy, man. So first of all, my first time in Harlem once again. Man, New York City is just so big. It's just huge. But yeah, man, we got off in Harlem. I remember there was just like, and again, keep going back to the hottest day ever. It was just like, I remember right away there was like a guy just like selling bottles of water, just right on the street. There was a tall guy in a suit. I think I bought a bottle of water actually. I got
hit up 3-4 different times before we walked the block. I felt like I was in India or a third world country where like grifters and scammers.
Yeah, it was intense, man.
And people are screaming, it stinks.
Exactly.
Fight.
Exactly,
it was
man.
full of life. And you're like, damn, man, I'm from Chicago.
Traffic everywhere.
Like, this is some crazy shit. And something interesting happened. And I've never really talked to you about this, but I think this is perfect.
What's up?
I think this is perfect to weigh in about this because February is Black History Month, right? And I want to get into the Black Lives Matter movement with you in Chicago and your involvement, what you've been doing. Yes. But something really upsetting happened that I didn't feel I could tell you at the time. You and I got an Uber, like we ordered a cab, and the cab was taking us to my
sister's we did get an Uber.
And like we're going across the RFK Bridge or whatever towards Astoria. And I called my sister Heidi, who's wonderful. And I had sent them, her and her roommates, like selfies of us having fun on our trip. And after I sent them the pictures, I get a call from my sister saying, okay, hey, so I've talked to all my roommates and my roommates aren't comfortable with you bringing a stranger in the house. And I remember I was upset. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? What? He's my friend. I vouch for him. What are you talking about? I spent the whole weekend with this guy. And then I realized, holy shit. I think it's because he's Black. Because everything was A-okay until I sent pictures of you and me. And I think her roommate, now kicked out, they kicked her out, was a fucking racist.
Okay.
And
the
crazy one. And I was really upset. And you could tell. I remember you turned to me and I was like,
because I'm like, Flora's Dominican. Who's gonna?
It was this one.
She lives with a Dominican.
It was the other one. It was this white girl who was very neurotic and anxious. And I was upset, man. And you could tell I was upset. I was like, what? This is bullshit. Fuck.
Yeah.
Even though I know it wasn't my sister's fault, she was just saying, look, my roommates were a team. We all live together. They're uncomfortable. I can meet you guys, but let's go out. Let's go have lunch. Let's do something else. But they're uncomfortable with him being in the house. And I was pissed. I'm like, this is bullshit. I hung up and you turned to me. You're like, everything all right, bro? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It's just, I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to put you out, but I got a really
sure.
And I was fucking furious. I think it was because you were Black and they saw those pictures. So that.
But I think what we got to do is say she saw those pictures because I think we've narrowed it down to the crazy one.
The crazy one.
Because it's not your sister. It sure as
not
my
sister.
It sure as hell ain't Floor.
Yeah, we ended up meeting up with Heidi and we went and got Thai food, I believe.
Yeah,
Vietnamese Thai food that day.
I think we went to
Vietnamese. Yeah,
Vietnamese place.
I remember we went somewhere in Queens.
We had a great time. It was fine, but he wasn't allowed in the house.
It was a great weekend.
I think we got to clarify for that it was the one woman that they eventually kicked out.
They kicked her out, but he wasn't allowed in the house, and I was mad as a cut snake. I was pissed, and I never brought it up. And I'm bringing it up now. And I wanted to ask you, look, we're embroiled in the Black Lives Matter movement. It's Black History Month.
Yes.
You're in Chicago.
Yes.
What I want to know about the climate of the Black Lives Matter movement in Chicago, first of all. And what's your involvement been? Have you been protesting? Have you been marching? What have you been up to? Have you been laying low? What's going on over there?
All right. So, well, I guess I'll start last year, really, because last year was a really big, huge year just for like social justice and stuff like that. So I know everyone's familiar with like for me at least, last year, the first thing that kind of happened was the Ahmaud Arbery killing.
Down in Georgia.
So like early in the year, So early in the year, that was a really big story. You get the kid who's just kind of I don't know the full story, but from what I understand, he was just like either jogging or he was like checking out houses or something down there, and then I guess like some guys pulled a shotgun on him. I don't know if they were like retired, like
one of them was a retired cop.
Yeah, but like
it was like a lynching. Remember, they used that word. Yeah. Like he got lynched.
Yeah. And I know, long story short, basically he got shot and killed. So like that was a huge story.
When I say lynching,
before that story actually even got a chance to even like kind of calm down or even like get resolved, then you get the George Floyd killing, which is just like egregious. He's just like you're basically just watching. I actually heard about the George Floyd killing. Well, this happened on Memorial Day last year. So May 25th of 2020. Like I heard about the story actually the day it happened, but I didn't realize like how big it was. All I heard was police killed a guy in Minneapolis, which to me wasn't even like it's crazy. Like I feel like it happens so often that like it wasn't even like shocking. Like I didn't even really like.
Is this
to me? It was just another notification. It was just like another notification on my phone. Okay, like okay, like again, like okay, it happened again. But then like a few days later, once I start realizing that like there was a lot of huge like unrest and stuff like that, I finally just watched the video. And I mean, like it's a tough video to watch. I mean, you're basically watching the cops just like kill somebody, and I ended up watching the video, and man, it was intense, man. The whole city of Chicago just almost went into like lockdown, man. They when I say like they were looting, they were freaking pretty much protesting every single day, maybe for like a month. There was like protests. I'm talking like all day from like morning it's all the way into evening, pretty much every day for an entire month. And then like every weekend after that, they were still protesting. But there was Black Lives Matter protests. Pretty much anybody who was trying to protest anything was just out there, and I feel like it almost evolved into, you had Black Lives Matter at the forefront, but it almost evolved into like almost like a class sort of warfare sort of thing. Like I feel like in the United States, at least, we get like a lot of, there's almost a lot of like this team and then that team. So even like in our politics, we get a lot of like red team, blue team. Either you're Democrat or Republican, or like you're either for us or against us. But there's like a lot of like big guy, little guy, that sort of thing. So I feel like a lot of like the looting and stuff was people really just trying to stick it to like the like big guy, the establishment and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, it was crazy. That was probably the most dangerous it's been in this city in a long time. Definitely in my lifetime. Like,
what did you do? What did you do during that?
Man, so what ended up happening? So COVID had been going on, so people were just kind of locked indoors anyway. So like all of our stores and everything was closed except for like grocery stores and stuff like that. But me being a biker, I bike around the city a lot. I would bike around the city from time to time and like see just certain things just going on. But for the most part, man, so Chicago had like a serious curfew in effect, and like they literally closed. Well, I don't know if either of you have ever been to Chicago. But
yeah, Drew, been a couple times.
He's been more. Yeah.
Man, we've got like Michigan Avenue, which is like it's almost like our Broadway in a way. It's like there's like theaters, there's like tons of shopping and stuff like that. Man, Michigan Avenue got completely looted. Like I'm talking like they stole, like everything was destroyed. Everything was taken.
Marquees off the theaters, right? Like
the mayor actually let the bridges up. The Chicago River goes through. It cuts through the loop through downtown. The mayor had to let the bridges up just so people couldn't go downtown anymore. And man, when I say like Chicago looked like Gotham City from
oh shit.
No joke. Like it literally was just like Gotham City. like that was one of the July of last year was actually the most homicides we have in a month. We've had in a month.
You told me that.
1990. I think in 1992. It was in like 1991 or 1992. But like I'm talking, like it was just insane.
How many people how many people got killed?
It was over 100. It was like over 100 murders that month, which is like insane, man. It was obnoxious. But like I don't think the city's ever felt that dangerous before. But at the same time, not saying that everyone out there is just like looking to like cause trouble. Obviously, there's a ton of people out there who are like actually protesting. Like a lot of what ended up happening is like it almost was a daily schedule. So like the morning would come, people would kind of get ready for protesting. And then like the early afternoon would happen, people would actually be out there just like protesting the entire day, like whether maybe they'll march like a few miles through the city. A lot of these protests would pick up steam, and like I mean, a little bit of everybody was out there. Like it wasn't like okay, it's just like this group of people, that group of people. Like it was a really unified, just kind of movement of people. Really, just everybody was just like upset, like for just like for good cause too, for good reason. And everybody had been locked indoors for like 2-3 months already. So people were like stir crazy. Like people just really ready to get outside and just do something, So people were out there just protesting. And then what ended up happening is that after the big protests were over, once night fell around like 8:30, 9 o'clock p.m., most of the protesters just go home, but there's always going to be like a huge group of people left over afterwards. Those are the people who started like looting and stuff like that. And like oh man, it was intense. Yeah, Chicago definitely felt the effects of George Floyd, just like in a major way.
Being from
I actually moved out of my apartment. I'm in my apartment right now. I actually moved out of my apartment for 3 months during that period. I moved to my mother's house. I quarantined there. Because, well, first of all, everything was closed. Like my job was closed. All the stores and everything were closed. But like the city had gotten so dangerous that like I didn't want to kind of like be out and about, just kind of just like moving at random. And plus, me being on a bicycle, I drive now, but like me being on a bicycle, like I don't want to.
More vulnerable.
Yeah, exactly. You're much more vulnerable. So I actually moved out of my apartment for 3 months. So from March until like mid-July, I actually moved out of my apartment.
Wow. Being from Chicago, what kind of racism have you experienced throughout your life?
Man, so what I would say for Chicago, so first of all, Chicago is the only place I've ever lived.
Tell us where you're from.
Address. I was pretty much born here. So I was born in what's called Oak Park, Illinois, which is literally across the street from Chicago. It's like it's Chicago's next door neighbor. But I was born in Oak Park, Illinois. I've lived in Chicago my entire life. Born and raised here, went to high school here, went to college here, currently work here, currently live here now. But I've been in Chicago basically my entire life. Yeah, man, I've been here. And I've lived in multiple different spots of Chicago. So like I'm originally from the west side, which is considered like a really bad side of the city. So I'm from the south side's the same way, but like the west side and south sides are pretty poverty stricken. Like the schools aren't very good by any means. One of the things I got really lucky with growing up was that my dad, who actually passed at this point, my dad's actually been deceased for almost 25 years now. It'll actually be 25 years in March. So next month will be 25 years actually. My dad actually passed when I was in first grade when I was 6. But one of the things he did right before he passed was he made sure that so I have 3 brothers. He made sure that me and my 3 brothers actually got into a good school. So we got bused to school. He didn't want us to go to the schools in our neighborhood because like when I say like they're just not as good. Like they're poor. They're really dangerous. A lot of the times like you had to walk maybe like 4 or 5 blocks just to get to school. And like the stuff that you have to like pass just to get to school is like in itself is dangerous. So like I mean like I still go visit my mom every weekend, but like the park right by our house is like a hot spot for like drug dealing and stuff like that. There was a shooting by that park like 2 weeks ago. Somebody got killed. Somebody was just like sitting in a car, and somebody just pulled up. I guess some people just pulled up and shot 2 dudes in the car. One guy got shot in the back of the head, got killed, and then the other person they had to rush him to the hospital. Yeah, but like the West Side of Chicago is like real.
It's a jungle. It's a jungle out there.
Man, it's intense, man. It's when you hear like Chicago's crazy, that's what they're talking about.
So
They're talking about, like,
you
West and
grew up
South
in
Side.
that. You grew up in that. You were lucky enough to have
That's where I grew up until I was 18. So up until the end of high school, that's where I grew up. Then after high school, I ended up going to college, also in Chicago. I went to DePaul University, which is in Lincoln Park, which is in one of the nicer areas of the city. It's like a really nice area. So I ended up moving to Lincoln Park, lived over there for about 3 years until I graduated. And then after that, man, I actually moved back to my mom's house for like a year or two, kind of saved up some money. Was kind of trying to figure out, I was maybe like 23, 24 at the time. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do post-college. So I started working this job. We were talking about the photography, but I ended up getting a job in web graphic design because I had gotten a degree in film photography. So I was doing like web design for a bunch of different companies like Best Buy, Walgreens, that sort of thing. So I learned how to use like Photoshop and stuff like that. They would send us just like tons of images and things like that. And here, guys, give me 2 seconds. I got to send this text really quick.
You're all good. You're all good. So yeah, I actually live in the hood now myself, Pharaoh. I live in West Salt Lake, which is not to be compared with the west side of Chicago, but I see drug deals every day, man. From my kitchen, I'm just eating a plate of whatever, and I can look out the window, and my neighbors are drug dealers, and I see people coming around to their doors around the clock, and just a little passage of hands, a little interaction. What I want to know, Mike, is being saturated in that sort of environment when you're a kid. How did you avoid the pressures to say join gangs or get into drug culture or
Oh man, well I would two big reasons. So half of the reason was my dad that I was telling you about. He got me and my brothers basically bused to a good school out in Norridge. I still go to Norridge to this day. I actually work out in Norridge every Sunday. I still go there.
How far was that from where you were?
Man, so Norridge is about 10 miles from where I am right now. Norridge is like northwest. It's close to the airport. It's close to O'Hare. And it tends to be nicer out there just because there's like hotels and stuff out there. It's a little bit more. It's not really touristy, but it's a lot more residential. But it's pretty far removed from like the bad stuff. So Norridge is a nice area, but we ended up going there.
How far was that? When you were a kid and you were going what was that commute?
The commute was maybe like 45 minutes. Yeah. So like if school started at 9 a.m., we had to be on the bus by like 8:10, 8:15, that sort of thing. So we had to get up pretty early. Like we were getting up around like 7:30 in the morning when we were young. But to us, it was normal though. It was like, oh, okay, we just got to go catch the bus, But like none of the other guys that we grew up with actually ever went out there like us. And like, to this day, I still keep in contact with some of those guys. Some of them are doing okay. Some of them are doing not okay. Like some of them are locked up right now. They're in jail. Some of them have actually done well for themselves. Like some of them actually gone to college themselves. But we all kind of had like very different upbringings, I would say. For just specifically from that one reason, like we went to different schools. Even though we lived on the same street, we went to different schools. So like that really affected like a lot of our early life experience. But yeah, and then so that's the first half of it. So like that, just going to a good school in general just helped us just kind of like stay on a good path. Yeah. Exactly, because like you're interacting with just like really good, like-minded people. People are like really into the books and stuff like that, and even stuff like sports. You know what I'm saying? Like we weren't really worried about getting caught up in the wrong type of thing. We were just being kids. You know what I'm saying? Like we were just like doing kid stuff. Like we weren't concerned about like any kind of bad stuff. And then
to a lot of racism, though.
Wait, say it again.
Were you exposed to racism though, growing up in any way?
So I guess I would say that's probably the most prominent kind of like racism. I would say that I kind of identified as a young kid was just the fact that like our schools where we live were just like worse and stuff like that, and not even just the schools. But I feel like everything in general. I'm sure you guys have heard like institutionalized racism and stuff like that before. But that I would say that would be the most dominant type of racism that I've witnessed, at least here in Chicago. At least growing up, but it wasn't I'd say up here, at least for me, my experience, it hasn't been like as blatant and like egregious and kind of just like in your face, that sort of thing. It was more just kind of witnessing, just like, oh, just because we get bused to like a suburb school or like a school that's closer to the suburbs, like we just have like so much more exposure to just much better stuff in general. Whereas like people who don't get a chance to do that, they're just not going to have the opportunities we have. And then like that, I mean, that little choice of just like busing your kids to a different school lets us get into good high schools, lets us get into good colleges. And now like, I mean, like we're like professionals now. Now we're like in our 20s and 30s, that sort of thing, you know. Whereas like some of our friends are like locked up in jail. They didn't get as good an education. You know what I'm saying? So the ones who even got a chance to finish high school and stuff like that, they just kind of got caught up in some of the other things that kind of drag you down.
Right. That's crazy. So, who are some of your? Black History Month, right? Who are some of your big influences and people who have sort of led your way?
Man, I always keep a picture. I'll keep this here. Got? Let's see what we got there. I don't know if y'all can see that kind of wooden. I'll stand
X?
up with it.
Yeah.
I see X.
There you go.
Oh, mine was.
I'd say
Obama. Nice.
It's a picture that I got carved.
It's a woodcut. Woodcut. Nice.
Yeah, it's a woodcut. It's carved. But yeah, man, I'd say my favorite activist from that time has always been Malcolm X. I know there's been a lot of controversy with Malcolm X about like, oh, he's too aggressive and stuff like that. But in my opinion, man, I've watched a ton of Malcolm X's just like speeches and stuff like that, and read his book. But if I could choose any kind of orator or just kind of like just kind of individual from that time period, Malcolm X. I think Malcolm X embodies just kind of like my mentality a lot. I guess like his to me. Everything he does just really speaks to me and just kind of makes sense. Like I feel like he dealt with a lot of things the same way that I would think that I'd like to, or like even if I were afraid to deal with things that way, I think he dealt with them in a way that was like very just kind of like fearless and just very just proactive. And yeah, I really like Malcolm X a lot. He's definitely one of my favorites. Yeah, man, he's a very brilliant guy. Very brilliant.
I loved even the name he assumed, Malcolm X, because it sort of solved for X, the variable X, like in algebra. He was, knowing.
He's like unknown. His name unknown
was a slave name.
Yeah.
His first name was Malcolm Little, was it?
Malcolm Little, yeah.
And he's like, well, fuck that. That is my ownership name. That was the name of the slave master who owned my family. So fuck that. X, unknown, Malcolm X. And I always thought that was really powerful. And the whole notion that he would say, we the black people aren't Americans. We're victims of America.
Man, I used to love when they would. I feel like we don't really see it on TV as much anymore, like nowadays. But like I would like when they would bring somebody like Malcolm X on TV, and he just sit down and debate like imagine Malcolm X debating like Bill O'Reilly or something like that, like some or just like maybe not
Tucker Carlson,
beat him up.
Yes. Yeah,
I'd love to see Tucker Carlson give him that stupid face. Whenever he gets going, he gets this deer in the headlights look on his face, like he's a puppy dog, who can't figure out what exactly is going on. And I would just love to see somebody like Malcolm X, him pull that crap on. Oh man.
Yeah, man. I used to like the civil discussions. Like you can still go on YouTube and just like watch a lot of the stuff. But yeah, that stuff was great, man. It was like, this is great stuff.
Well, and I love watching those interviews with Malcolm X because he's so
eloquent.
He's so calm. He maintains this
so calm. He's so like poised. He's very just like he makes his point, but he never kind of loses his he never kind of gets put off top.
It's unwavering.
He kind of loses control.
Yeah, unwavering. It's amazing. And I think too what's so powerful about him and what can speak to so many people though is how he the arc of his life.
Yes, exactly. He had such a transition. He had a very big transition.
He was a criminal in the beginning,
and then even knowing his his trip to Mecca and how
he's very young when he died. Yeah,
he was. What was he? 30? What was he? 38? No,
I believe so. Yeah, like him and Dr. King were when they're in the late 30s. Him and Dr. King were in the late 30s.
And it's interesting,
young guys.
That this notion that of course Dr. King has his own holiday.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of people say, well, this is because he championed primarily nonviolence, more of the Gandhi
Yes.
model, civil disobedience, nonviolence,
Yes.
non-compliance. Whereas Malcolm X, though he always remained composed and spoke with that eloquence and was brilliant, he's considered by white people violent. This violent, like, oh, Black Panthers, he's just violent. Where's Malcolm X?
Yeah, I think he was.
But it's because
I don't know.
He would always talk about, well, if this violence, the horrible violence that has been imposed on our people for centuries, you know, we just take it and take it and take it. Why shouldn't we?
We're not going to get anywhere.
Counter violence, and people are like, "That's insane! You're a terrorist!" And where's his federal holiday? Very interesting.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like. Don't get me wrong. I love Dr. King also, and I love Dr. King's message also. But I feel like from like a mainstream standpoint, I feel like he was a lot more digestible. And again, a lot of that's just like the toned down violence and stuff like that, like the turn the other cheek, you know. Man, what's crazy to me is that like ultimately they both had the same fate. You know, they were both assassinated for what they were doing. They both had the same exact fate. And man, I bet the '60s were crazy. I bet the 1960s, like being alive in that time, must have been like insane.
Oh man, I was watching recently watching a documentary on Netflix about RFK. And but when they started, I mean, when him and JFK started, they were kind of they thought Dr. King was too much. They thought he was too volatile. Okay. But I mean, Bobby, you know, through listening to Malcolm X and through listening to Dr. King, he really changed his tone, especially after his brother was assassinated. And they had powerful influences on Bobby Kennedy. I mean, so they were just powerful men that influenced their people. And I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, and I think that speaks, when you influence your peers like that, I think that speaks volumes.
And then Bobby was killed, of course, as well.
Yeah.
Anyone who got close to that sort of righteous social justice equality, they got gunned down in that era.
Yeah, man. It was
Black or white. I read the most powerful tweet, I believe, it was from the recent Martin Luther King Day last month, from his daughter. Tell me if you saw this, and I'm not quoting it verbatim, but it was very interesting, very poignant, and not what you would expect. Basically, she's saying, stop acting like everybody loved my father. My father was assassinated. Yeah. At the time of his death, he was one of the most hated men in America, like top 5 by polls, most hated men in America. Yeah. And so my father's memory basically isn't meant to just be quoted by white people once a year. Like white people sling around these Martin Luther King quotes to sort of assuage their white guilt. And there's a whole notion you can look into white guilt and white fragility. The idea that, holy shit, we are the oppressors, we are privileged, we're born with privilege automatically. And that white fragility sort of uses Dr. King as a symbol and throws his quotes around. But his own daughter was like, fuck off with all that shit. He was hated. He was assassinated. And once a year.
I feel like after the fact too, like after someone's death, they almost get like memorialized in a way, especially him. But I assume that like if we were alive back in that time, I can see no I wouldn't question at all. He probably was like such a just polarizing figure. And I mean he got assassinated because of that reason, you know. But yeah, that's intense. I haven't actually seen that particular quote.
It's a tweet. It's the recent tweet, and maybe Pharaoh can find it. But my mom is similar to you, from a big Midwestern city. My mom's from Detroit, and she'll be 70 in May. And she's told me stories of when King got assassinated. She was in high school in Detroit on 8 Mile Road, Cass Tech High. And she said the riots were so intense. This is Detroit. The riots were so intense that they shut down school for like months. And that by the time, in the wake of King's assassination, the city imploded on itself.
Yeah.
And by the time she actually returned to high school, months later, there were blackened buildings. Part of the high school had been like burnt. There were like bullet marks in the walls. It looked like a war zone. The response to that was unparalleled. Can you imagine? I mean, the equivalent, I think, to that in our time most recently is this election, right? Will Trump win? Will he get elected? Will he lose? He lost. The attack on the Capitol, like, holy shit, that's sort of what we have in our generation too.
Yeah, man, that was crazy.
BLM, Black Lives Matter riots, and like, holy shit, we had riots here in Salt Lake. What cute little riots. You're from Chicago. Holy shit.
Yeah. Well,
I remember you showed me the area. You showed me the area where they had it.
You're like, that's adorable. That's so cute.
That guy, did you see that moron get out of his car with the bow and arrow?
The guy with a crossbow.
What was this? For the Capitol,
Salt Lake. This guy gets out of his car. Man. Was it a crossbow or
it was a fucking white boy?
It was a bow and arrow.
He gets out with like a crossbow,
with a compound bow,
like a hunting crossbow.
Yeah.
There to air quotes assist the police,
protect his
and
car.
he said,
oh, man.
all lives matter. All lives matter. And the crowd fucked him up. They grab him. The police had to save this redneck with a bow from the crowd, and they turned his car into a blackened tin can. They burned it and crushed it, dude. And this fucker with the crossbow became like national news. All lives matter. Fuck off. Dude, they would have eaten him alive. They would have eaten him alive had the cops not interfered. Unbelievable. It was fucking crazy. You know, this is funny. You know, we talk about white fragility and, you know, white privilege and that kind of that white guilt, that sensitivity. The guilt is so overwhelming about what we've done to the Black community and the Native American community. Our history is steeped in genocide and slavery.
Sure.
We can't often face it. We can't face it. And so there's that sensitivity. So we're like, and we say it doesn't exist. And that's called like white fragility. It's like, no. Racism's fixed. We had a black president. You got the vote in the 60s. Racism's been fixed. It's not fixed. It's a deep institutionalized thing. And Trump and Pence won't even fucking acknowledge it. But I saw the funniest SNL skit the other day from the early 90s.
Uh-huh.
And it was so fucking funny. I'm going to send this to you. It rings as true then as it does now about white fragility. It's Jeff Daniels was the celebrity like guest. And Tim Meadows is like the black star of the skit, and Adam Sandler's in it. And it's called the Martin Luther King Day Coworkers. You look it up on YouTube, like Martin Luther King Day SNL skit. So Tim Meadows comes into the office, and Jeff Daniels and like another white dude are in the office. They're like, hey, we have Monday off. It's Martin Luther King Day. What are you going to do? Oh, I figured just, kick back, play video games, barbecue, just fucking whatever. Okay, cool. Come over and chill. And then Tim Meadows, the black coworker, comes in. Hey guys, happy Martin Luther King Day. What are you guys going to do? And they totally change their tone. They're like, oh, we're going to go see the readings of Dr. King. And I was going to just go to the library and study the speeches of Dr. King all day. Oh yeah, me too. And Adam Sandler comes in, and like suddenly it all goes from, oh, we're just going to fucking do whatever, to, oh, we're truly going to go, we're really going to invest in researching the life of Dr. King. And like this all bullshit. It's funny. But are you watching it right now?
I got it pulled up right now.
It rings.
Oh, this is from the 90s, man.
It rings true. It rings true because it's sort of like, I think white people want to say that, want to be able to say that, oh yeah, I'm going to read King's autobiography and win sitting on that day. But really, I think it's a neglected day. It's sort of like, oh, we can just, a day off work. Oh yeah, Martin Luther King. He was great. Cool.
I feel like in modern times, it does just turn into almost like that 3-day weekend sort of thing, I mean, and not for everyone, but I feel like as time goes on, especially as the generations kind of as we start to kind of move into our generations and future generations and stuff like that, I feel like now you're talking with a lot of folks like our generation, for example, who never actually even got a chance to even like meet them or even kind of, I feel like it's cool for our parents too, because they were actually like there around. How this stuff was happening. So I feel like for them, and our grandparents too. Our grandparents would be like the biggest, because like that, I feel like they kind of watched it from start to finish. They watched the early start of it all the way to
the civil rights movement, from the Montgomery bus boycott to King's assassination, all the way to.
In that vein, I saw on that picture that you had, Obama's on there. So Obama, another hero?
Man, so Obama I put on there. So I ended up when I ended up getting this particular photo, it was an actual photo that I had that I found online, and I ended up finding an artist. Me and him traded actually. So I had some photos that I ended up giving to him, and instead of just kind of exchanging money, we ended up exchanging just actual crafts. So he was a carver. He did a lot of carving on wood, and he ended up just carving this for me. But he kind of put Obama on there because honestly, I would say Obama, at least up until today's date, Obama is less. Well, Obama's still living. Obama's almost up there. I guess you could say it's almost like a. I don't want to say placeholder, but he hasn't. I feel like Obama's story's not finished yet. But like his stories, he's more up there. I guess he almost in a way is like a symbol for what he ran on. The whole message he ran on was like change. But Obama, I feel like kind of serves as a symbol. Is like a kind of like it's not like the end of like racism and stuff in this country, but it definitely serves as it's almost like a as a what do you call it? Like a checkpoint in a way. It's like a point. It's a fork in the road where I feel like it actually it's a symbolic point in the road.
I like
that does resonate with people, you know. And that's why I wanted to put Obama on there. And I've also met Obama too.
You've met Obama?
Oh, did you really?
Tell us about that.
Yeah, I actually I met Obama when I was in high school.
Because he's from Chicago.
Obama was he's from Chicago. He lived in Chicago. And he's also a senator. He was a senator from Illinois. So he's an Illinois senator. That's actually why I met him. Because when I was in high school, so I was in high school from 03 to 07, I was actually in the marching band. And when Obama was becoming the senator of Illinois, back when he was campaigning for Illinois, we actually played at one of his events, and our marching band played when he actually entered, and then he gave like a really nice speech. It was him, and then a few other people gave some speeches. And then right when he was leaving, right when he was on his way out the door, they actually told all of us in the band, they said like, don't approach any of the people, like don't talk to any of the people. And as soon as Obama's leaving, he's really tall, he's like 6'2", he's really like lanky. He takes really big steps. So like when he's walking, it looks like he's walking at normal speed, but you almost have to like jog a little bit to like catch up with him. So he's just walking away to his limo, and I just so he like literally just like walked right past me. So like I was like, hey, can I get a picture? And then he just turned around. He was like, yeah, sure, let's get a picture. So like, he comes up to me, and he was like shakes my. I had my sax, I'm a saxophone player. So he like shakes my hand, and then like put the arm around the shoulder, and then.
Do you have that photo?
Man, that photo's at my mom's house actually.
No way.
Yeah, that photo's
before he was a big deal nationally.
That was before he became president. This was back in 2005. Yeah, that was before he became president. We didn't know he was going to become president. He hadn't even like decided to run for president back then. He was just becoming our senator. But yeah, it was that's how I met Obama, and it was pretty cool. It was a cool night.
That's funny. That reminds me of a story. A buddy of mine is a Marine, and he was actually a Marine at Camp David. He would be on guard duty at Camp David.
Oh, sick!
Full tactical gear, and so he's just on the perimeter, outside, bored. He's smoking a cigarette, and suddenly he hears, "You got an extra one, Marine?" And he looks over, and Obama's coming towards him, and Obama smokes, and he's like, yeah, Mr. President. And he like gets out his pack and hands him a cigarette, and they end up having a smoke together.
Oh, it's sick.
And this evolved into, because he said he was very friendly to his staff and his security. He's very friendly. Obama is a baller.
Sure.
He loves basketball, and he's highly competitive.
Oh, yeah.
And it just so happened that my buddy had played for the Marines, had played basketball for the Marines.
Oh, sick,
and
man.
It got out that he played. Obama heard that he played. And so he would have these weekly games, full court, none of this half-court pussy shit.
Uh-huh.
Full court where he'd get all his friends, and they wanted like a competitive game, like 5-on-5, like competitive game.
He was playing 5-on-5 with the president?
Yes. And so his superior came up to him and was like, so the president wants you to play basketball with him, but before you do, you're good, right? He's like, well, yeah, I'm pretty good. I played for the, I played for the Marines. He's like,
I'm okay.
Like he like wants you to be good, like good players only. And so he would fucking play with Obama and crew like once a week. And he said Obama was like competitive. Like if he was losing, he'd be like, let's go. Come on. Let's go. Let's get this going here. Like, and like, really like, let's play. No fucking around. Like he wanted to play. Like he's a bomb. So there's a little trivia for you about Obama.
Do you guys know who Arnie Duncan is?
Arnie Duncan. Is that a player?
Yeah, man, Arnie Duncan is he's like he was part of the Board of Education in Chicago. He's like a Chicago guy, but he used to play with Obama a lot. And Arnie Duncan's like a really tall guy. He's a really good basketball player. But he's an older guy now. He's maybe like in his he's probably in his 50s or maybe even 60s at this point.
He ever played pro? Or he just loved basketball?
I don't believe he played pro. I think he played at like in the NCAA, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he went pretty high level, but he never played pro. But Arnie Duncan's one of the guys that used to play with Obama a lot. Obama, man, they used to play a lot of basketball.
It really hearing these stories really humanizes him. And to think of him as just a little senator in 2005 that met as a marching band sax player. Yeah. I love that.
He was
ended up becoming the president.
Yeah, Arnie Duncan. He's 56. He was the United States Secretary of Education for Obama from 2009 to 2016.
Oh,
yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep. He got put in that position. After Obama got elected. Yeah, he got put in that position. So Rahm Emanuel's another guy.
Did you
say it again?
You know Arnie?
I never met Arnie Duncan. I've never met Arnie Duncan.
Okay.
I just know he used to play basketball with Obama.
That's just so wild. To hear that like, he just wants to smoke now and then. He wants to shoot hoops. It's funny. My buddy, the Marine buddy, he would work out at Camp David, like in the gym, and like one of Obama's daughters had like a crush on him and would be giggling and like spying on him in the gym. Like he had these really funny stories. And he said he would go to Washington. Sometimes he was on the detail in Washington, and he would be in like a few rows back during Obama's speeches. And after the speeches, Obama, what you don't see on camera is Obama's going, shaking hands, kissing babies, waving to people. And he would always point to the back row of the soldiers. He'd point right at my buddy. He'd be like, see you at Camp David, Marine. He would acknowledge his security. He was very gracious in acknowledging that way. So like those inside stories, I love that. I miss that guy, man.
Yeah, pretty sick though, yeah.
You gotta figure with the security guys, sometimes, and this is my imagination, right? But I feel like it's borderline truth, is that you get somebody like Obama, and that's the guy they're like, I will take a bullet for him. Mm-hmm. And then they get somebody else. They get somebody else like the guy that just left, and they're all, I have to take a bullet for him.
I'd really rather not.
I feel like if I have to.
That's kind of my job.
God, I
don't want to take a bullet for him. They'll jog a little bit. Those guys kind of slow their pace up a little bit.
Right. Oops, I tripped on my shoelace. I forgot to tell you. I would have been there.
I'm sorry, Mr. President. I would have taken it front and center in the chest if it were up to me. But
it's really gonna haunt me for the rest of my days.
The shoelace. So you've met Obama. You've met some cool people, but you've also traveled a lot of amazing places. Where have you been? You photography is taking you to some cool places.
Yes. So up until last year. Which, I mean, we had COVID, obviously. Last year, I was going to try to travel abroad quite a bit, but I ended up canceling a lot of my trips. But I've been to much of the United States. I haven't been to the entire United States, but I've been to a lot of the United States. But I had almost made it a point back in about 2018, 2017, start traveling to basically a different city every 2 months or so. So every like 6 to 8 weeks, I just go to a different city. And man, I was just all over the place, man.
Have you been able to hit most of the 50?
All the states, man. States, I can't count how many states I've been to. I'd say I've probably been to maybe like 25, maybe 20 states.
Pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Maybe 20 states, yeah. I haven't been in Utah. Was the most recent that I've been to. That was totally different experience.
Let's dive in. Let's dive into that. So this
much different than what I'm used to out here. Like like landscape wise, totally different. I got to experience a little bit of the culture out there. I definitely got to experience a lot of the just kind of outdoor culture with Jason and then Jordan also with the camping, which was great. It was fantastic. It was like that's definitely the first thing I remember So as soon as I think of Utah, it's almost like that first night, just kind of camping out in the middle of the desert, just like pitch black darkness. Learn how to make a fire. learn how to kindle the fire with like the big chunks. Hey, one thing is that if you want a fire for heat, you got to spread it out nice and wide and keep it low. If you want a fire for light, it's got to be nice and tall. You got to have a nice long tall fire.
Look at you.
Happening.
And then you need a nice kukri knife. Get yourself a nice kukri knife.
You remember, Mike?
You know Jason's motto, right?
What's the motto?
If you have a knife, it's not a survival situation.
Not a survival situation. Not at all, man.
That's right.
Always take water. Always take water.
That's great. So we drove him all the way out. We camped in a wash of a canyon.
Yeah, we
camped near Goblin Valley. It was cold, very cold night,
yeah.
dark. And I remember he kept asking, he's like, so we're just gonna camp out here? And I said, yeah, like right here, right on this, right here in the wash. He's like, what's a wash? I'm like, this is a wash. He's like, okay. So I'm like, I'll teach you how to make a fire. You ever made a fire? He's like, no. And so that's right. Log cabin for heat, teepee for light.
Gotta get some good stones. You gotta make a nice little circle. Get yourself some good stones to contain your fire.
Good.
Yeah, man. You start with the small pieces at the bottom. Start to get progressively larger pieces at the top.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Jason's very excited.
Oh,
that was day one.
That's night one. So how did he get there? This was great. This guy calls me in the midst of this pandemic. It's maybe not at its peak, but he called me early on saying,
this is maybe like in August, September, I think. It's like late August, maybe early September.
Like, I want to come out to Utah. You should show me. I remember you made me laugh. You're like, I heard y'all got some good land out there, or some land. It's only land. It's only land.
I hear y'all got dirt out there.
Yeah. There's soil.
All kinds of dirt too. All different colors, all different grades.
There's
y'all got canyons out there.
Oh man, and it started developing more and getting more and more serious. Then Rona happened, but even despite that, after months of Rona, it was. When did you come? When was this?
Man, I was actually right around your birthday. That was your birthday weekend.
You came over my birthday weekend. So
so from the 23rd to the 26th. Actually left on your birthday. Your birthday was that Monday.
That's right.
Your birthday was that Monday. I came on the Friday.
You were my birthday present. This is amazing. So a month before my birthday, so late September, he calls me and he buys a ticket on the phone. I entice him. I say, my birthday is this weekend. We could, I'll take you climbing and canyoneering and hiking and, the whole 9 yards. He books his flight on the phone. A month later, he's here. He's in Utah. Damn the torpedoes, damn the pandemic. He comes. And it wasn't quite at its height that it is now. In fact, it was before a lot of things got more stringent. Just before you barely.
Oh yeah, it didn't spike. It was at a low point. I feel like after the summer hit, like numbers started to go down a little bit. Well, at least here in Illinois. I'm not sure what the Utah numbers look like, but it definitely wasn't as strict. That's for sure.
That's right. So you came here and walk us through what happened. I want to hear from your perspective. Again, I know what I did to you, but from your side of things,
we know the Pecos Bill tall tale story.
And I lassoed the tornado, but good.
Yeah, man. Well, man. Honestly, that was the first time I've ever. Well, it's not the first time I've actually traveled alone. But that was the first time I've kind of like just traveled on a whim. Like I didn't necessarily. Well, I didn't even know where I was going to stay or anything like that. I just assumed that once I get down here, like I guess like we're just gonna go for it. I packed a nice light bag. It's really funny. I brought 2 pairs of shoes just like randomly, and they just came. That second pair of shoes actually came in handy later. Once we actually got out there, because we needed an extra pair of shoes.
I forgot my goddamn shoes at home. I've never done that.
The really nice ones too. He had the really, really, really nice ones, man.
And he had a second pair of shoes. We just happened to be a similar size, and so we do it all. He shooed me. And I did the rest. So what happened?
You shot your pony.
Yeah. So walk us through your Utah experience, which was surreal to you. I remember you kept saying, "Is this man-made or is this just out here?"
Yeah, dude, man. Utah is like. I mean, I've seen pictures and stuff online, but so we started in Salt Lake City. We ended up just kind of driving around the city, got some food. So showed me some of the Mormon churches and things like that, which I thought was really interesting. I mean, I'd never seen any Mormon stuff before. Kind of told me the history of like the Mormon church and things like that. But we ended up driving south, if I'm not mistaken. It was like southeast. We were headed towards Moab, and basically before we hit Moab, we had camped in the desert that first night. I don't even necessarily know what the name of the place. We were close to like Temple Rock, if I'm not mistaken, it was called.
Yeah, and Temple Mountain, Goblin Valley. It was right near
Temple
Goblin
Mountain.
Valley. And Temple Mountain.
Man, Goblin Valley was insane.
Real
Goblin
quick,
Valley
Michael,
was insane.
what vehicle were you guys in?
Man, we were in that big 4x4. That big 4x4.
You got to take the
black
Raptor. Okay.
Yeah, man, we took it out there.
I was gonna say, did he have you in his bench seat? Were you riding in the sandwich?
No.
I bust out.
Dude, we were in a huge truck, man.
I bust out the stops for my Chicago brother, man.
That's how we snuck into a Delegate Arch. We took the back doorway, but only like a big 4x4 could actually fit through there. So
that thing's a serious vehicle.
If you have the vehicle, you can avoid the $30 entrance fee into Arches by taking the back.
Yeah, man.
For our listeners, that's the F-150 Raptor that belongs to Jason's.
Yeah, man, dude, that thing's a beast, man.
Oh, it was good.
Absolute beast.
All right, then what happened? So we made the fire. You learned how to pitch a tent. Remember that?
Yeah, man. Learned how to pitch a tent for the first time. Stepped on a bunch of cactuses. Not gonna walk around the desert barefoot anymore. But that next day, man, we ended up seeing some of these. I forget what you call them. They were like the petroglyphs. Yeah, we ended up seeing a lot of these petroglyphs and things like that. It ended up raining in the desert just like randomly. Like the 1 weekend I was there, it rained at Arches. So when we went to go see the Delegate Arch, it actually had rain on it. It was actually like slippery and stuff like that. I actually slipped a couple times.
There's little waterfalls everywhere. It was beautiful.
Yeah, there's waterfalls coming out of there. We ended up going to that. That one restaurant before we actually came back. I forget the name of it. It was like Green. What's it called? Green River.
Is Fiesta Mexicana. I took him to some Mexican food.
Fiesta Mexicana. What was the one? It was Green River, I think it was.
Oh, we went. I really did some iconic stuff with him. I took him to Ray's Tavern in Green River, which is this classic sort of dive burger joint in Green River, which is a great place for climbers or canyoneers. And speaking of canyons, we did a canyon.
We did Ding and Dang Canyon.
Ding and Dang
Canyon, man.
Tell us about that.
Man, so Ding and Dang. Actually, it's funny. I still got the scar on my knuckle. It's like finally healing at this point. No, I scraped. I remember I scraped some meat off my hand when we did the hard side first. So like they let you decide if you want to do the hard or easy. Did the hard side, but yeah, it was my first time ever hitting the canyon like that. And yeah, man, it was fun. There was definitely some big jumps on there. It was like some big jumps, big climb. Yes, you really do get you got to commit to a lot of that stuff. And yeah, man, what was it, like a 4-hour hike? I think it was about 3.5, 4 hours. It was.
You were doing pull-ups on a Waco, and
yeah, we did the Wacos, man. We saw the dude. That was sick. That was like that landscape was it almost like prehistoric is what I call it. It's almost like it's like some dinosaur type stuff.
Yeah.
We get none of that. We get none of that out here. Like we get none of that desert. We get none of that. Like that was like totally interesting looking. I feel like Utah looks like almost like another planet.
Did
it doesn't even look like Earth anymore. It looks like I don't even know what it even looks like anymore.
Did the elevation affect you at all?
My ears popped when I was out there, but they pretty much stayed popped the entire time. So, so I didn't feel them unpopped until I got back home. But the elevation was intense.
It's so funny. I'll take people from the West back east to New York or even Atlanta. And New York especially, people from out here, they get claustrophobic going into New York City because they can't see the horizon.
Oh,
and out here you can just see so far.
I see. Yeah, that's one of the things that kind of got me too. Is just looking off into the distance so much, man. It's like I'm not used to seeing stuff that's 4, 5, 6 miles away from me. You know, I'm
30
used to
or 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I'm just not. You could see the sunlight. You can see how the sunlight breaks up the atmosphere and stuff like that. It's just weird to see. And
nature.
Dude, those cliffs, even Arches and stuff like those cliffs were amazing, man. All those photos were incredible. Still, Goblin Valley was just like unbelievable.
We took him to Goblin Valley.
Yeah, I saw some of those pics.
That is, I mean, those are the most unique formations in our state.
Dude, when I show people pictures of those, they're like, "Oh, that's it." And then I show them like the little picture of me in the picture. They're like, "Oh, I can't believe it's like that big, dude." Like the scale, you can't really tell the scale from
Yeah.
distance. But yeah, man, it was definitely the landscape was just like unbelievable, man. And I feel like I only saw a little bit. I don't even feel like I even saw like everything.
How'd your skin do in the dryness? A lot of people.
Man, so I did get dried out pretty good. I got dried out real nice out there. Got real dried out there. I was kind of happy to get a little bit of sunlight though, because well, at least in the daytime, you guys' weather was a little bit better than our weather out here. We were like in the 40s in October, but y'all had like still like some 70s and stuff like that, which was pretty sweet.
We had a crazy fall. Yeah, it was definitely weird this fall.
Saw a rattlesnake out there.
Yeah, we saw saw a little baby rattlesnake.
Yeah, a little
baby.
You
saw a lot. You saw a lot, and the day we did the canyon, you can either go with the grain or against it. Come on, real men go against the grain.
Obviously,
Pharaoh,
Obviously.
So we climbed up the canyon, so up some dry waterfalls, some intense scrambles, and it was a totally novel experience for Big Mike here. But he did splendid. He was stellar. And, he's doing pull-ups on Wacos. It was awesome. And the picture I'm going to use for this interview when we publish it on Instagram is a picture of you and I wedged as one in the Slot Canyon. I love it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right, man.
That's the photo of the trip. I got this guy. We basically counter-pressured off each other, and we're both on opposing walls of the Slot Canyon. And it's a great shot.
Man,
this guy's like got 60 pounds on me. But we wedged all the same. It was great. I loved it.
Man, I would definitely do another canyon. I would definitely do another canyon for sure. Yeah, that was intense, man. I feel like early on when we did Dang, it was called, right? We did the hard side. We did the hard side first.
Yeah,
like a few of those jumps. First was just like walking for like 20, 30 minutes. And I'm like, oh, okay, I see. This is just going to be like one of those walking hikes. Then we had to jump over some stuff. Then we had to jump over bigger stuff, then bigger stuff. And then there was like, then we ran into like a crowd of people. There was like 10 people who were all trying to get over like the same rock. Like everything was stuck. And then some people had like some dogs and stuff like that. We were like, all right, we just got to go around y'all. So we just like jumped over them. And yeah, man.
I was impatient. Yeah. Right.
Jason getting impatient?
We're going through them, not around
It's
them.
like, we got to get this moving. Yeah, we got to get this moving.
Well, at least, unlike some other people that he's taken out on adventures, you guys didn't get into any kind of
life or death situation.
Yeah. Because Jason has a tendency to take people into life and death situations. And, so if he ever asks you to go ice climbing or anything like that, just make sure you check the weather.
When I get bored, it's a little twice a day. That's all.
Next thing you know, you're all huddled up in an ice cave, wiggling your toes so you don't get frostbite.
Oh,
he told me.
You got sure
Well,
body.
him and Jordan told me some stories. They told me some stories about some intense situations they had.
Yeah.
It's the spice of life. But you did great, and I love you got a red badge of courage on your hand. Show me the scar. What do you got? You got.
Oh, it's like healed now at this point. It's just like a little nick at this point. But no, I basically when I'm jumping up, what do you call it? Dude, it's like a scratch at this point. It's like a scratch.
Aww.
It was a nice. It just reminds me of Utah, though. It reminds me of
I love it. I still pinch myself that you came. It was this whirlwind 4-day trip. He came Friday. He left Monday. He left on my birthday.
Dude, that time went so fast. It was crazy. I can't believe it was like 3-4 months ago. Now it's like 3.5 months ago.
We fucking did it. You came. You saw. You conquered.
That just speaks to how good you got your hand there, because it's been 3 to 4 months and you still have.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like it's on its way. It's on its way healing. Yeah, dude, man. I would definitely do I'd probably do a more challenging hike, actually.
Oh,
don't worry. I feel like that was a great starter hike for like a first hike. I'd be down to do like a much more challenging hike.
Your ass
maybe
back?
a longer hike. Man, you guys, and you. I mean, well, I'm sure you know these guys doing all this rock climbing, like that rock climbing.
Oh yeah, dude. I've gone rock climbing with him once or twice, and it's
intense.
fun. I mean,
that's intense looking
he
stuff,
takes
man.
me on the beginner slope, but it's fun.
But you're up to it because you're a fit guy. Because, well, like me, you're a personal trainer now. how long have you been a personal trainer, and what has that meant for your life? You're a fit guy.
Oh man, yeah, I've been a trainer. Well, thank you. I've been a trainer for 7 years now, going on 8 years. It'll be 8 years in July. So, yeah, this is my seventh, going into my 8th year of training. But yeah, it's been phenomenal. I was talking about a little bit earlier that I had gone to school for web graphic design. So that's what I was doing out of college. Ended up just like not really liking that kind of field, or at least I didn't like the corporate side of that field as much.
Yeah.
Just kind of was boring, and like maybe like a year and a half, 2 years into my job out of college, I was like, all right, I'm gonna try something different. I started to I had already like kind of like been in the gym a lot. I was just kind of a gym rat. Just kind of in college, there was just something I would do, just kind of like in my free time. It was kind of like whether it's kind of like playing sports. Or just like working out or running, that sort of thing. So I ended up getting certified through this group called NASM, and I ended up applying to this gym in my city in Logan Square, and they hired me, and I ended up being a trainer there for about 4.5 years or so. And then after that happened, I ended up upgrading to a luxury gym. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Equinox.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. I worked at Equinox for about a year. And then COVID ended up happening last year. So last year was kind of weird. It was when COVID happened, I basically all the trainers at my gym got laid off. So I was unemployed for maybe about 3 months or so during the shutdown. And then I ended up just deciding to go private, man. I ended up renting out my own private studio, which is what I do currently today. I ended up renting out my own private studio. I currently have 18 clients. And yeah, man, I do everything from virtual training. So doing it over Zoom, doing it over Google Meet. I train my clients in studio. I have a full schedule. And I also teach classes. So it's really cool. It allows me to still stay like very up to date. I'm always trying to get new certifications, trying to learn new stuff. Always meeting tons of brand new people, helping people stay healthy, stay fit, stay focused. And yeah, man, it's been phenomenal. It's been such a great ride for these last 7.5 years.
And that's how we ultimately met at Jeff Kevin.
Yeah, man, that's how we met. That's how we crossed paths, man. And that's something like just think of it like well, I mean, now we know that we crossed paths, but like back when let's say like 4 or 5 years before we even like met, like all those dominoes were kind of like falling into place. Like I get out of college, I'm not liking my job as much. Ends up leading to freaking hiking Ding and Dang Canyon.
It's crazy. Yeah, life will take you around.
But
and those little
think about the dominoes that you're setting in place right now. That like 10 years from now, you won't even see the effects of. Like you won't see the effects of it until for another 10 years. Like 15 years, 20 years.
I know that some prospective employer is going to somehow listen to one of these podcasts. I'm not going to get hired because of it.
Well, that's the guy I want. They're like, no, that's the guy we don't want.
We'll have millions of followers by then.
Right.
Speaking to domino effects.
They're like, who's Mike Caldwell?
Who? You'll be huge.
No, it's going to be, you guys got Mike Caldwell?
You'll be bigger than Billy Blanks. You'll be bigger than the Tybo guy.
That was before he was Mike Caldwell. He was just Mike back then. Now he's Mike Caldwell.
Yeah, exactly. So, sounds like you have a philosophy on life that you could possibly impart for us. This domino philosophy. What is
What's your life motto? Your life philosophy? If you could boil it down to a sentence or two.
A maxim, a motto, a creed. Yeah. What your advice to our listeners?
Almost like a mantra. I don't know if I necessarily. I'm trying to think what mantra. Let's see. Someone asked me this like not too long ago, maybe like a week or two ago. They asked me. They didn't ask me necessarily what my mantra would be. They actually asked me. They asked me if I could see myself 20 years ago. Like if I could go back in time and talk to myself 20 years younger, what would I tell myself? And I believe what I said was like basically do the hard stuff, man. Like do the stuff that's challenging, and that like the challenging stuff pays off in the end, or to do basically try to grow yourself as much as you can, like like really try to get out of your comfort zone, because I feel like you can only really move yourself forward, or you can only really move your life forward if you're kind of just kind of working outside of your comfort zone. I feel like and one of the worst things that you could have happen is to be in the same place today that you were in like a year ago or 2 years ago or 5 years ago. Like you always want to be moving forward, and also growth isn't linear. So like just because you're in one place today and another place a year from now or 2 years from now doesn't mean you went in a straight line. Like sometimes growth can be in a full circle. Like you might find yourself, you could totally find yourself in the same place 5 years from now, but like with a whole new perspective. You know, like growth is definitely not always linear. Like just kind of and always try to accept new experiences too, like for what they're worth. You know, like try to get as much life experience as you can, because that's the stuff that books can't teach you. Like you have to learn. I think it's really interesting to talk to much older folks. Because they definitely have something that books could never teach you. Like, even if you talk to someone who's like, let's say you talk to someone who's like 80 years old and like completely illiterate, the person has like so much wisdom, just like because they have so much more life experience than we have, and like they just have so much more just kind of like real world knowledge, and that's really I think that's what, at least right now, that's what I think is something that you should seek. Or at least in my case, that's something that I want to see.
So you're saying don't stay comfortable and see how you stack those dominoes, right? How you position.
Yeah, man. Hey, all the dominoes are already in place. The moment you're born, they're already falling. Those dominoes are always in place.
Whoa, the dominoes are already falling.
Even before you're born, man. I feel like everything that ever what do they say? They say the universe is infinite. So everything that ever can happen will happen.
Okay.
And also by that token has already has happened. So.
Okay, are you going Neil deGrasse Tyson on my ass? You did this at the campfire the first night, and you blew my fucking mind. First of all, I'm not a very smart guy. I'm like a brontosaurus. My brain's about the size of a walnut. And you start talking about quantum physics and
I had watched a video.
You know what you're talking about.
I had watched a video.
I
watched a video the night before.
Sounding on, he was going Stephen Hawking, Neil deGrasse Tyson on my ass. And I'm like, holy shit. Can I name all the planets as they're ordered from distance from Earth? You know, I'm like 5th grade level here with my, astronomy. Usually, or this is my astrology. In fact, I usually call astronomy astrology by accident. I'm like, oh shit, wait, is that the Scorpios and Zodiacs? No, I mean, oh fuck. You are into this stuff.
Yeah, man, it's been, I had actually watched a video not too long before we had talked. I think I had watched a video on my my flight actually. And I
read books on it. You blew my mind.
I had a lot of that stuff just kind of like floating around through my head. That's why
you just triggered me when you were talking about the universe and infiniteness. I'm like, holy shit, this guy. Well, you're a profound guy.
Oh yeah, man. I think it's really interesting.
I think it's really interesting. Because we've been trying to figure out a way. We had one of our first guests, Nathaniel. He had some advice for LGBTQ plus people here in Utah. But I love what you said. Or what somebody asked you. What would you tell yourself? You're 20 years ago,
man.
That self. And I think we're gonna steal that.
Oh, it's stolen. It's good as stolen already.
Yeah. I was in such a whole different mental space 20 years ago, man, or even like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, like totally different mental space. I mean, there's things that I'm doing now that I wish I had done like 10 years ago. I'd be so much further ahead of the game. But like by the same token, I mean, like if you kind of live by that mantra, I mean, you don't want to live with regrets, Like, and I feel like at the end of the day, there really aren't any regrets, Like I feel like the regrets are just something that you kind of like shoulda, coulda, woulda. That's just like a hypothetical sort of thing, You want to just kind of, I don't want to I don't want to go into the cliche like live life to the fullest, but it's like just kind of go with it, man. Like kind of let life happen, but like don't stand in your own way. I guess is what I should say. Don't stand in your own way.
I love what you said. It boils down to a beautiful phrase that you said. If you could talk to yourself 20 years ago, you would say to yourself, do the hard things.
Exactly. Yeah. Do the challenge. Do the challenging thing.
Don't stay comfortable.
Don't stay comfortable.
Like
yeah.
That's what makes you immortal, man. All the famous people in history have always done the difficult, not the easy. They're not remembered for the easy.
Yeah, man, exactly.
You know, what King did, what X did, it wasn't fucking easy. You know, they died.
Not at all. No, not at all, man.
So,
hey, they paid the price for it, you know. They the ultimate sacrifice.
Man, I'm so glad that you let us talk to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was great.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I still can't believe you came out to Utah. You're fucking nuts.
Do you still?
Might be a little crazy, just a little bit.
Pretty cool. One last question: you still do graphic design stuff?
I do still do the graphic design.
Really?
Yeah, man. I recently helped a couple of musicians make their album art. I'm still really big into photography.
So you're about to get a pitch from Pharaoh. Pharaoh, is there anything you'd like to ask Mike in Chicago?
Mike in Chicago. There might be a couple of podcast yahoos looking for an emblem or a cover for their podcast. Something to spice things up.
A little spicy logo. Yeah. Maybe designed by a graphic designer in Chicago. Maybe not.
Hey, man.
Trade you one Jason Hackney.
Hey, you have you have my info. You have my contact. Hey, man, link it up, and I'd be happy to work something out with that, man.
Ooh, oh, cool, man. Oh, man.
Excellent.
Everything's meant to be. Holy shit.
Dominoes, man. Dominoes.
Those positions.
It was so funny because I was just texting him the other day. I was like, do you know any graphic designers? Your name never came up.
I know a lot of people. When I think of Mike, I think of, I don't know, bench presses and squat. Pioneering.
How much you bench?
Oh, man.
That's awesome, man.
Man, max bench press, I actually don't even know. Man, it's funny. I usually don't even max bench press anymore. I usually just rep it out when I'm on the bench press, that sort of thing. I've been trying to master my mile since the year started. I've been trying to master my. I've actually run 30. I've run 33 miles this year. I've basically run a mile. I run a mile every day now. But I've been trying to master that mile, man. Trying to work on different elevations. Trying to run it on hills. Trying to get it faster. Trying to do it flat. Trying to do it faster time. Trying to do it in intervals. I really just been trying to master my mile, man. That's something I've been working on.
We need to get you back out to Utah. One, so I can meet you.
You'll be ready
in person. But two, so you can do a little elevation training.
Just run straight up a mountain. Just run up.
You'll be trained for Utah. You're positioning all these dominoes and the expert.
Man, what's the weather out there right now?
It's been pretty warm.
Kind of mild. Yeah. However, we
got some really good snow the last week.
We have had 2 epic powder.
It's freezing in Chicago.
Really?
Yeah.
The Windy City, man, cuts through you like a knife. But
it's awful.
But the last 2 weekends have been epic powder days, meaning it's dumped like a foot plus of powder, and the snowboarding's been phenomenal.
My brother-in-law went up. Went up to Park City. He said it was 8 degrees up there when he went. So, but they're higher elevation.
Yeah, man. Gotcha. God, I could talk about meteorology all day, but with you, man, you're an interesting guy, photographer, traveler, personal trainer, sensitive guy. But you've been to Utah, even. I mean,
Utah.
Your life is complete.
But with the Utah thing, that's it. I mean, you said something about Obama, like his story isn't finished yet. But
it's not finished, man.
If you got hit by a bus tomorrow, it would be a complete life because you have been to Utah and we had
been to Utah, man. Been to Utah, dude. Utah. I like going to Utah because I feel like Utah was from all the stuff that I already did there, Utah was awesome. But Utah feels like one of those places like you really don't hear people say like when they say, okay, well, where in the United States do I want to go? I feel like Utah is just like it's not necessarily like Park City. I would think it's like probably at the top of the list for some of those for like extreme sports people who aren't going to like Colorado and stuff like that. I'd say Park City would probably be up there. But like Utah, I feel like Utah is almost like a hidden gem. Like a lot of people don't necessarily know what it has to offer.
Let's keep it that way.
And,
right.
The diamond in the rough.
We only want the Mikes of the world to come.
Diamond in the rough, man.
Stay
open to life. Well, if you did get hit by a bus tomorrow, you'd be fine, and the bus would be the worst for it. You're looking strong. You're looking thick.
Bus would be totaled. Bus would be totaled. I'd just be nice and I'd be nice and fine, man. I'd just go on with the rest of my day.
I'm really glad you talked to us, brother, and I've been looking forward to this. And when I come to Chicago, Oh man.
Yeah, man, you gotta come through, man. You gotta come through. Now that COVID, hopefully we can get this vaccine going, so like we can actually get back to normal life. Yeah, come through, man. We have to show you all around the Windy City.
It's on. I mean, is there any like climbing in there? Any canyons? Any mountains?
Man, there is. You're not gonna find a whole lot of nature out here. Well, Illinois is completely flat. But dude, they actually have some really sick climbing here. They have a lot of climbing gyms and stuff out here, and like a lot of man, trust me, there's plenty of stuff to do in Chicago.
I want to pick the highest point. The highest point in the state, is it like a corn stack?
Tower.
Oh, dude, no joke. The highest point might be like one of these buildings in Chicago. It's probably like a 30-story building. It's probably like the highest point in the state.
All right, can I climb that like Tom Cruise climbs in Dubai in a Mission Impossible? Can I do that?
Dude, you know, sometimes people do climb these buildings, dude.
Do they get arrested? What happens to them?
They do get arrested. They make it to the top. Shit. They get arrested once they make it to the top. There's this one dude who used to wear like this spider. It wasn't like Spider-Man. They actually used to call him Spider-Man, but like he'd wear like the special suit. He climbed these skyscrapers, and then they just wait for him at the very top. And then once he got to the top, they arrest him.
This sounds like a challenge that I'm up for. This
hey man,
danger appeals to me.
I'm loving this.
And then you could just rappel back down.
I would like base jump. I would do like a parachute escape. They'll never catch me alive, coppers.
Like people do.
As one does. I'll just GPS mark your house and I'll land on your roof.
Then he's calling up Mike in his Australian accent. Mike, I think I'm the coccyx.
Hey man, hey.
Oh yeah. You be waiting at the bottom of the car. Mike, I got some serious heat. Oh my God, I'm headed towards Michigan Avenue. You gotta be there. I'm landing in 30 seconds. Look up, I'm the guy in the parachute. Yeah. All right. That's a deal. Sounds like a deal to me.
I'm like, yep, we got Jason. We got Jason parachuting right off of the skyscraper here.
That's gonna happen.
Yeah, man. Dude, I haven't been downtown in forever. And now that I think about it, I haven't been downtown in like almost a year. It's been over a year actually since I've been downtown.
Go see what's up. Wear one of your hats.
Well, we will definitely be in touch, my friend.
Grab one of these just right off the wall.
Next time you see a logo, it'll have Mike's signature all over it. I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, man. Thanks for interviewing me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you again for doing it. You're, again, fascinating people with extraordinary stories. That's what our podcast is about.
Everybody's story matters.
You brought it.
You brought it.
Yeah, man. And great luck with the podcast, man. Keep doing what you guys are doing. Looks like you get some good info, some good content out there. And man, I'll always be out here if y'all ever want. Got any questions, anything about any of the stuff? And shoot my info to your friend too. I know you're talking about the graphic design, but yeah, feel free. I'm always open to stuff like that.
Man, I like it. Be cool, baby. Stay cool.
Thanks, brother.
All right, guys.
All right.
Take care.
Bye. Talk to you later.
Bye.